What is going on, everybody? So, I recently came across this article that got a lot of popularity online, and it's pretty on theme with a lot of the other videos I've made. So, I want to just like read through the article, offer up some of my thoughts and opinions on it, and basically provide like a reaction slash a review of this article. So, it's called The Rise of Lonely Single Men, and it's on Psychology Today. It says men need to address their deficits to meet healthier relationship expectations, right? So the key points are that dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as relationship standards rise. Men represent approximately 62% of dating app users, lowering their chances for matches. And men need to address skills deficits to meet healthier relationship expectations. So let's jump right into it. It says younger and middle-aged men are the loneliest they've been in generations, and it's probably going to get worse. I think it's definitely going to get worse. This is not my typical rosy view of relationships, but a reality nonetheless. Over the last 30 years, men have become a larger portion of that growing group of long-term single people. And while you don't actually need to be in a relationship to be happy, men typically are happier and healthier when partnered. Now, I want to agree with this. I do want to agree with this. Men typically are happier and healthier when partnered. And I say that because when you're single, you act differently than you do when you're in a relationship. For me, now that I'm actually in a relationship, I know that I act differently. Like I'm not going out on the weekends and hanging out with all my single friends, getting drunk at the bars and waking up hungover on Saturdays. And I'm not spending time on dating apps or on social media as much. And I'm just more focused. And that's something that I wouldn't have if I was spending all this time and energy trying to date. And a lot of guys will say, well, you shouldn't settle down or commit to anyone in your 20s or even 30s, that you should date as many women as possible and all of this. And that can certainly be fun. But I think as far as like long-term stability and being able to focus, if you're in a good, healthy relationship, that's going to allow you to focus much more so than if you are going out dating and acting a fool as a single man. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I think if you're in the right relationship and a healthy relationship, it can be very beneficial. But again, it's emphasis on being in the right relationship and making sure you're vetting that person before actually like committing to them. If you're dating the wrong person, your life will be hell for sure. So let's keep going. Here are 3 broad trends in the relationship landscape that suggest heterosexual men are in for a rough road. So dating apps, my favorite topic to talk about. Whether you're just starting to date or you're recently divorced and dating again, dating apps are a huge driver of new romantic connections in the United States. The only problem is that upwards of 62% of users are men, and many women are overwhelmed by the number of options they have. I've said this time and time again. Men have a lot more competition on these dating apps than women do. And not just that, but with all of these options that women are having, it's making it very difficult for them to choose just one. You know, it's when you have too many options put in front of you, you're always comparing option A to option B, and you can't choose. So there's too many options put in front of us. And then for men, there's just too much competition. Competition online dating is fierce, and lucky in-person chance encounters with dreamy partners are rarer than ever. So again, competition on these dating apps, especially for men, is fierce. And really what it boils down to is if you're not in that top 10 to 20% of men, you're not going to have success in these dating apps. I mean, let's just be honest here. The top 10 to 20% of men are the ones who are getting all the matches, who are going out on all the dates. They're the ones who are going to have luck on these apps. And the other 80% of people probably won't even get any dates. So my advice for anyone who's not in that top 10 to 20% of men on these dating apps is to get into that top 10 to 20% of men on those dating apps, right? You know, work on yourself. You can do it a bunch of different ways. Go to the gym, get in shape, improve your finances. As much as we hate to admit it, money plays a big factor. And if you don't have money, not a lot of women are going to want to date you. If we're being completely honest. Improve your appearance by dressing better, grooming yourself, just being more presentable, right? You know, you don't have to be the best looking guy genetically, but take action and take accountability for how you look and how you groom yourself. Have interesting hobbies, just have an interesting life that you live. Just be interesting. That's another big one. So, improve yourself first and get into that top 10 to 20% of men before you start thinking about dating. Relationship standards. With so many options, it's not surprising that women are increasingly selective. Looks like a TikTok plug. I hear recurring dating themes from women between the ages of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available, who are good communicators, and who share their values. Now, while this is good when you are already in a relationship, this is not going to get you dates per se. Like, women aren't on dating apps thinking to themselves, he's a good communicator, I'm going to go out on a date with him. That's just not how it works. Men and women have different things that attract them, right? So men are typically attracted to women that are physically attractive. Men place a lot of value and importance on physicality, physical beauty. Whereas women, especially the older you get, they place more importance on a man's ability to provide stability and security and a certain sort of lifestyle, right? So it's less about looks and more about just like pretty much having your shit together, having your life together. And again, being a good communicator is great, and that's probably going to help you have a healthy relationship long term, but you're not going to get a bunch of dates just from being a good communicator. So skills deficits. For men, this means a relationship skills gap. If not addressed, will likely lead to fewer dating opportunities and longer periods of being single. There's less patience for poor communication skills today. The problem for men is that emotional connection is the lifeblood of healthy long-term love, and it requires all the skills that families still are not consistently teaching young boys. Okay, this is another one I kind of disagree with. There's this big push for men need to be emotionally vulnerable and men need to be emotionally expressive and in touch with their feelings. And I disagree with that. I think that men need to be emotionally aware and emotionally responsible. They need to recognize their emotions and recognize behaviors or thought patterns that come from those emotions. But men should not be emotionally expressive per se, right? Like, as a man, I should not be crying to my girlfriend all the time, because that's probably going to lead to her losing attraction in me and probably losing respect for me. Like, there's just different standards and expectations that come with being a man versus being a woman. Another example of that is, say I go to work one day and screw up and my boss just roasts me and threatens to fire me. I may be very upset about that, but that doesn't mean I should go home to my girlfriend and cry on her shoulder about it and vent to her for hours, because that's probably going to lead to her losing respect and losing some sort of attraction to me. Or if someone breaks in my house at night, I could be scared shitless, but even though I'm very scared, that doesn't mean I should act and show that I'm scared. Like, there's a problem that needs to be solved, and I should be able to recognize those emotions and recognize the path to solving those emotions. Emotions are good indicators, right? They indicate something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to show them outwardly all the time, especially as a man. While there's probably no chance of stemming the rising tide of unintentional single men, there is some good news. The algorithms are becoming increasingly more complex on dating apps and other online platforms. One result is that great matches are on the rise. One dating app, Hinge, found that through beta trials that 90% of users rated their first date positively, with 72% indicating that they wanted a second date. I think this is kind of a BS statistic, because it goes back to that earlier point we made, where there's more men on the dating apps in general. So women have their pick of the litter, which means they can be more selective, and they're probably going to select higher value men to go out on these dates with, or men that they're actually very interested in. So it's no surprise that the dates went well. But a more realistic or more honest statistic is how many people are on dating apps that don't even get dates at all, or how many people are on dating apps and go out on dates and they lead to a long-term relationship. I would argue that those statistics are much, much lower. So how can men reap the benefit of the algorithms? Level up your mental health game. That means getting into some individual therapy to address your skills gap. Of course, on a Psychology Today website, they're going to say go to therapy to improve your dating. I'll keep going. It means valuing your own internal world and respecting your ideas enough to communicate them effectively. It means seeing intimacy, romance, and emotional connection as worthy of your time and effort. Okay, back to the therapy. I don't think going to therapy is good relationship or dating advice, especially not for dating. Like, again, it goes back to this: we want a short-term, easy solution to things. You want to have luck or get better at dating, go to therapy and that'll fix your problems. Like, come on now. The reality of the situation is, especially as a man, if you want to improve your ability to date, you have to get into that top 20 to 10% of men. Like, you have to improve your value in some way and show that to women, show that to people you're trying to date, right? So go to the gym, get your finances online, get a career path, hang out with people who are higher value, do interesting things, like improve your life, and the rest will naturally kind of fall into place. So that's about the end of the article. It says ultimately we have the opportunity to revolutionize, or yeah, okay. So that's basically the article. So I think the article brings up a good point that there's a lot of single lonely men out there. But I don't think the article does a good job of providing a solution for that. And the solution should not be going to therapy or getting in touch with your feelings or learning to communicate better. That's not going to give you much dating luck or dating success. What it boils down to is looking long term and taking the necessary actions day in, day out, making those lifestyle changes and improving your life on a day-to-day basis. That's what is going to improve your dating abilities. Not going to therapy, not talking about your feelings, not all this other mumbo jumbo. It's actually putting in the work and actually improving yourself. And if you're not there yet or not in that top caliber of men yet, dating should not even be on your mind. You need to get there first, and then you can get on the dating apps, or then you can probably meet people in real life, which is more preferred, or which is preferred more, at least through my eyes. So that's the video, guys. I know I don't usually do videos like this, but this was an article that was just on par with my other videos. So let me know if you like the video. If you do, hit it with the thumbs up, subscribe, the usual YouTube spiel. But again, I appreciate you guys, and until next time, peace.